And we're walking and we're walking. Oh man, friend, you would not believe the weather I'm having right now. For December 9th, this is some gorgeous business. We're doing an extra long walk this morning to make up for it. All right, Reenie, let's go. Reenie is my little Schnauzer Terrier mix. She looks just like a Muppet, but not the like cute kind, the like dirty kind that would hang out with Oscar the Grouch.
This is Sustainable Events Dog Walk, a short podcast from Positive Impact Event Consulting, where you can get a quick nugget about sustainability for your events and event business while on a walk with Alicia and her dog Reenie. Sustainability is a big project, but we'll get there together, one little step at a time.
Today, I want to talk about what's the deal with the true difference between reusables, rentals, and compostables, recyclables. Got those two sort of split. There's differences among them as well, but we'll look at the kind of two categories. We've seen a lot of information coming out. People are always like, oh, don't use trash. That's number one. The reason we're not even talking about trash is trash in landfill has no upside. We might think that it's easier and faster and whatever else is going on, but enough stuff that we're doing is already wrapped in plastic. The last thing we need to be doing is putting 18 pounds of Chinelle in the trash as well. That all is just going straight to dumpsters, straight to landfill, and or being shipped to an impoverished country to put in their landfill. I guess there's just no upside there. So let's defund plastic, quit buying that business, and look at instead what would you use now that plastic's off the table and plastic coated paper and etc. etc. Dog, what are you doing? They're already gone. Let's walk. So the first thing is, why is compostable and or recyclable not the panacea? Why is that not an easy solution? Bing, bing, boom, no problem. Other than the fact that they all come wrapped in little plastic cellophanes. Well, when you look at rentals versus compostables, you might think, oh, well, rentals, if I can get rid of the road miles for delivery each way and the water and the energy for washing, like maybe it is actually just better to do a compostable. Maybe that's the easy solution and that's the direction I should go. But I'm here to open up your eyes to how that might actually be not any less complicated, and that you're probably just looking right over some key steps that would make that functional. So if you're going to do a compostable, here is the steps that you would need to take in order for it to functionally be an improvement. You need to make sure that your catering staff / venue, if they're not the same, whether they're the same or not the same, are aware of and prepared to sort all of the waste at your event. You've got to sort the waste to make sure that the compostable is actually below whatever your local threshold that you're delivering that waste to says for contamination. Some places it's 5%, some places it's lower. You need to find out who is recovering this waste and communicate to them that you will have pre-sorted waste that they're picking up to make sure they know that it's safe to take the waste to the designated composting destination. Because a lot of times they will have places like these venues earmarked as contaminated pickup and just never take it straight to the destination you're hoping to get to. So that needs to be communicated both with the company who's doing the pickup and with the drivers for that company, so they know, none of this, oh, we got a different driver at the last minute and they took it to the wrong place. And then you also have to find out, or before that, you have to find out whether the company that your venue typically uses does compost pickup, whether they will accept sorted compost. And if they won't, then you'll have to find who will, because there will probably be a secondary facility that you can contract with and do all the same steps with them. And then you've got to make sure everything goes through the event, being sorted on time, being tagged appropriately, and then eventually being picked up by the right people. So that's a lot of things that are not traditionally under your purview. And you might think, ooh, you're right, I never want to be in charge of those steps. That sounds terrible. So unless you're going to be bringing in an environmental services managing company to do waste management, the likelihood is it would take some really strong relationships and a lot of pre-planning to pull this off. That's, not that fun. So maybe you consider using rentals instead, which would be basically all the same steps. All of the procedures are the same. They're just pre-designed for you. You're not having to figure out who to do receiving from and how to pack it and how to send it back. All of these things are sorted out by the rental company, and you're just given a packet of instructions. And then just to touch on recyclables, it's the same deal. If you're going through and using all aluminum for your bottles and cans, and you're being careful to instruct all of your production to do no plastic cardboard and get the tape off of everything, you're still going to have to go through and make sure that the venue has waste sorting and that you have a labeled pickup that the receiver knows about for sorted recycling, so that it goes to the right place and so that they will honor and trust your mark for uncontaminated recycling. So to use an example for rentals, and look, I'm not saying that rentals are a perfect solution, and we are in a situation still where they're really not. A lot of the economics are not ironed out to be properly incentivizing on both sides and to actually function. So, when it comes down to it, you may still find it cheaper to purchase a TV from Black Friday, have it shipped to your venue, and then donate it to an after-school program. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with donating to after-school programs, but if we could just have a set number of TVs in circulation and not have to make loads more of them, that seems better. So it is complicated. But if we look at rentals from this view of what are our multifaceted approach, it's a great system to be able to affect the factors a little bit easier than the waste management system I was just describing. I'll use for my example BBJ La Tavola linens because I'm pretty familiar with their system. They're a great example of how it's not necessarily as cost effective as you might be hoping for, because it is a fine quality item. And so that's going to be up to your wizardry to manage the budget. But the things that they do are so smart. So you've got linens and some chargers. So pretty much exclusively linens. And what they do is they've paid attention to the fact that these things are being shipped out. So they're using national carriers rather than sending their own trucks. They're not doing dedicated deliveries to use up the mileage. They are using reusable bags for the returns. So you're not packing up cardboard that gets broken down. They do use cardboard on the outbound, but it is all very recyclable. And that's, something that they're looking at for the future, but it is, balancing the efficacy of the product and the quality that they're selling with the environmental and waste reduction viewpoint. So I'm not advocating that there's some perfect solution for you. I'm just saying when we're trying to do better is better. So, this is the thing that gets everyone so bogged down. So I'm just trying to illuminate that all the time. So the next question you might ask about linens is like, okay, so the delivery is not the worst thing. We're still going to have something delivered, whether it goes in the compost or goes back to where it came from. What about the washing? That can't be amazing versus just putting something back in the ground, which is true. But the great thing that BBJ La Tavola has done, and this is something that if you have a facility that you run yourself, it's not outsourced, you can do, is they've centralized their facilities. It's all coming to the same major intersections so that they can have all of their washing together, and they use the hot water from their washing cycle to heat the buildings where they have their storage, their fabrication, and their employees. So they're getting a dual action and reducing their energy by only heating the water once and not also heating the facility. So it's all about coming at these things intelligently. And it's the same type of mindset that you should have when you're looking at your task list. Trying to get that double duty out of something or out of your budget is really the best approach. The other thing that BBJ La Tavola does that's excellent is they have a real focus on the longevity of their products. So they fabricate themselves. So they're able to select where they get their textiles from. Sometimes they have textiles fabricated for them. And then they fabricate the actual items, which means that they don't have to stock as many unusual shapes and sizes because they can make those custom for people who are ordering them rather than having big piles of them in stock, and they can also do repairs and maintenance. And they use that as an opportunity to keep up quality control by checking their orders as they're going out, making sure that die lots are matching and things like that. And it means that they overall have a lot more control and can minimize the wastage in their own system. And then the other thing I would say about rentals is keep in mind the hierarchy that you're making your decisions with. It still applies. So if you're getting something that is available locally, there's no reason to pay extra to have it brought in from far away if it's going to be a generic, reasonable product provided locally and you can support a local company. So I'm not saying that these are sweeping rules to change all of your behaviors. I'm just giving you some information about your decision-making hierarchy. So there you have it. That's my argument pro rentals versus compostable and recyclable. I'd love to hear what questions you have about this topic and how we might follow up on it. You could submit questions via the Google form or email address in the podcast notes. Thanks for joining me on Sustainable Events Dog Walk. I'm Alicia Druby, founder of Positive Impact Event Consulting, and I want to help you integrate sustainability into your event business so you're ready to make every event you work on more sustainable. See you next time.